Good evening and welcome. I'm Sheila Balgobin, and I'm the Dream Detective, and I help you to find the gold in the gobbledygook of your dreams so that you can live the life you dream of. Tonight, I wanted to talk about U-turns. Always making U-turns, whether we're on the highway or motorway and pass our pass our exit, or we get off too soon. Whatever the case may be, we may have to double back and make a U-turn. And it occurred to me in the past few days that I was doing the same in my life at this stage of time. But what I realize is that there is a net difference between a U-turn and going back to where you came from, doing this, and a U-turn, which is spelled Y-O-U, or returning to yourself. And I'll explain a little bit about how this came about. The past week, you may remember from my last live that I was really struggling with a really bad allergy attack, which is really unusual because I haven't had one in several years. And even in the worst pollen levels last summer when we had no rain, I wasn't having any kind of reaction or very little. So an allergic reaction this strong and this early in the season when there's not so much pollen around was really perplexing. And finally, I had to look at it not from just the physical point of view, but from the kind of emotional level. What is going on here? Why is my system reacting this way? It took me a while. The body is more intelligent than the brain sometimes. But it took me a little while to realize that my immune system was acting up this way for the simple reason that there was some spring cleaning, if you will, that I needed to be doing. And I kept putting it off, and I knew I needed to do it, but I wasn't doing it. And my body was saying, oh, yeah? Right. I said, at least you won't clean out your life, you're going to clean out your lungs. And I was struck down by this allergy attack, this hay fever attack that was just unbelievable. But thinking about it at a deeper level, I realized that it made perfect sense. I mean, in traditional Chinese medicine, the Shen, our heart, is really where everything, takes place, where where emotion lives, where we find our strength. Now, however, in Indian traditional medicine or Ayurveda, the heart chakra is actually linked to the immune system. So when we lose heart, we literally lose health. I mean, which makes perfect sense. So my heart chakra, as evidenced by my immune system, was going haywire, and I had to sit down and think about why that was the case. And it was exactly some things that I needed to clear out of my life in order to make the progress that I wish to see. Excuse me. Now, what that meant was yes, taking a U-turn, looking back, turning around and looking back at some decisions I made, some actions I've taken, and seeing that they either, beg your pardon, either they no longer were represented who I was, and were acting as anchors, dragging me back or holding me back rather than helping me to move forward. And so it was this sense of there's something literally I had to get off my chest, literally get it off my chest. And I kept putting it off. I knew what I needed to do. I knew who I needed to contact and who I needed to say, you know what? I've tried this thing. It's not working for me. It's not resonating with who I am. and who I wish to be, and I need to give it up. And I knew I needed to do that, and it wasn't until I literally got knocked flat by my immune system that I realized I needed to get this literally off my chest. And the minute I made, and the reason why I know this is true, the minute I made that conscious decision, right, I'm going to do this tomorrow, which was yesterday. I'm going to sit down and write this message to this person and get this over with because I've had enough now. The symptoms started to clear. Yeah, honest to goodness, the symptoms, all of this coughing and sneezing and carrying on to the point where I could barely function, it's dissipated. I mean, they haven't gone away completely. I'm still, as you can see, coughing and maybe sneezing a little bit. But the point being is my body and my brain finally kicked in and got in sync with each other. And I had to face up to the fact and get off my chest the fact that there were some things that I was doing that no longer served who I am, that no longer were in sync with what I'm about. And maybe they never were, or maybe they were right for the person I used to be, but they were no longer right for who I am now. And to hold on to that aspect of myself, that definition of myself, was actually holding me back from creating new definitions of myself and new meanings for myself. And so it shouldn't have to take us getting laid flat on our backs to get us to realize that sometimes we need to make those U-turns in life in order to be able to move forward again. Now, sometimes, we can make those U-turns and overshoot the mark, or worse still, we end up right back where we were and we haven't progressed anywhere. We're stuck right in the same place and go back to where we were before. We never complete the journey. We just turn around and go home. And the problem with that is, if you're trying to institute or integrate something new into your life, going back and doing the same thing out of fear, out of pride, out of arrogance, whatever the case may be, and there were some of all of those things that was holding me back from making my decision about giving up certain things. I had a certain definition of what my life was supposed to be like, but it wasn't really in sync with who I was. And that dissonance was creating problems for me. Unnecessary problems, because I wasn't being true to myself. And that's the difference between making a U-turn and going back to where you were and doing the same thing and expecting different results. Quite frankly, is just crazy. And I'd like to think I'm relatively sane and will not go back to the same place that I was, doing the same things that I was doing and expecting a different result. That's just crazy. Doesn't make any sense. Why do you think scientists do experiments 5,000 times to make sure that they get the same result every single time so that they can say it's a hard and fast rule? So doing the same thing and getting the same results is either a scientific experiment or you like punishment. One or the other. You take your pick. But when you make a YOU turn, you actually return to yourself. And that's what I had to realize, that all of the things that were falling away from in the mini maelstrom of my life at the moment were all things that really no longer served who I am. They were aspects of who I was rather, and no longer were serving me or needed to serve me in a different way. I needed to adapt them to be used in a different way, because using them as they were was no longer useful for me, was no longer a positive thing for me. And not acknowledging that was causing me difficulty, was holding me back from the things that I should be doing. And it took me a while to figure that out, but that's the nature of experience. You get it after you need it. So I had to take a step back and realize that what I was jettisoning wasn't something that I needed. It was what I needed to strip away to get back to who I am. And who I am and who I've always been is somebody that was interested in dreams and working in healing in some way, doing healing work. That has been my role and my objective and my dream since childhood. I've always known that those were things that were of interest to me. And so not to be congruent with that, not to honor that and to be that, I was just spitting in the wind and dissipating my energy and doing things that, well, while they served me for a time, after a while, they just got old and they were doing me no favors whatsoever. So they had to go. But ego kept me, oh, but I'm sure I can do this. And, oh, but I don't want to let anybody down. And screw that. Who was getting let down was me in the end. The others, they'd go on, whether I was there or not, they were going on with their lives. But me, I was slowing me down by holding on to stuff that no longer served me. And that's maybe the one question we can ask ourselves in life about everything virtually. Does it serve me or does it not? Does it uplift me or does it not? And if you can't answer yes to those two questions, then send it packing, man. Send it packing, because it's not worth it, because it's getting you away from who and what you are and what you're meant to do in this life. And the proof of that is, like I said, not only did my symptoms clear dramatically from, in the matter of hours, but the universe kept sending me exactly what I had been asking for. More clients, more courses to teach, more people wanting to learn things with me or to do things with me. So it was me holding on to what I didn't need anymore that was actually holding me back. And I would challenge you to think about that for yourself. Where are you holding on to things, ideas, people, places, things that are actually anchoring you and keeping you from flying? Think about that. It could be small things, it could be big things. It could be things that, that are external to you. It could be things that are internal to you. But I would challenge you to look at where it might be useful for you to make that U-turn and not just look back and go back, but to make a Y-O-U turn and come back to yourself and realize who and what you are and what you need to be doing in this life. I leave that thought with you, and I thank you for watching and listening. For those of you in the US, Canada, Brazil, a few other places celebrating Mother's Day today, have a lovely, lovely Mother's Day. I wish you all the best. For all those mothering souls, you may not have children, but you act as a mother to others. This is for you as well. Have a lovely rest of the evening. Have a great week. Thanks again for watching and listening, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.